Hey, ladies, welcome to our Oasis from Home challenge. I'm looking forward to spending the next 7 days with you and just introducing you to some new healing practices, maybe new, maybe some existing for you, but just that we could be together here practicing them, creating new routines for ourselves, and just making sure that we are prioritizing our well being and practicing this self care. And so I created this little presentation just so we could talk about it and just break down the different aspects. Some of you may find that you're really good at like the physical aspect of self-care, but maybe need a little work on the mental and emotional. So when people usually arrive to the Oasis, we sit down and we just talk, get to know each other. That was kind of like our introduction post. I just ask you guys, like, what are your current self-care practices? And I would say that most of the people that come here that I meet in person don't really have self-care practices. They're moms or they're working full-time or they're busy. It's something that they've let go of. And by the end of our time together, I usually teach them simple things that they can do, easy things, quick things that they can take care of themselves. And so that's what I really hope that we can do during this time, just kind of give you these new tools in your toolbox that you can reach for instead of just numbing out on social media or watching a TV show and Netflixing. Like, these are actual routines that are going to help you to just be your highest self and to make you feel good on all of those aspects, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, like well-being, the mental. So, self care, it's self explanatory. I like to explain it that self care is anything that I can say, I'm doing this for me. Self care is an activity that we actively choose to do to take care of our physical, our mental, and emotional well being. And why do we need these? Like, these practices, I think a self care, a lot of people think that it's like a luxury, maybe something you do, like if you go to a spa, or like self care is just like these external things that we do. But really, it's just about prioritizing our well being. It's important no matter what the circumstances, like our well being is more important no matter what's going on around us. Like, we have to prioritize our well being. Self care helps us to manage stress better and it allows us to be more productive. Like, taking care of ourselves helps us to have a good work life balance and to make us feel like we're not just going all the time. These are the different areas, the mental, the emotional. Like I said, some of you may be really good at the physical aspect, maybe like getting your workout in or getting your nails done or whatever you do that you say you're doing for yourself, your hair, maybe those external things. But are you prioritizing your mental self-care, tending to your mind by practicing mindfulness and learning continuously, reading books, growing, podcasts, things that are helping you to elevate your life and to keep your nervous system regulated and to keep you in a good mental state. Emotional, staying in touch or fully engaging with your emotions. I really love journaling for this because when we journal, sometimes we can't really talk to people outside of like a therapist. Like, maybe it's something personal you're going through with your spouse and you're not going to just like call your friend, or I don't recommend, calling people and like telling them your business. I feel like we always have that one person we can turn to that won't judge, that we can openly talk to, but sometimes it's hard to find that person. And so for me, journaling is a big one to just stay in touch with my emotional state. Social, this one is big. I think we can get caught up, especially if we're moms, we're running households, we're working full time, our kids are in sports. Like, the social aspect tends to kind of take a back seat. But this is just something that takes intention. It takes intention for you to like get your calendar, get your phone, and make plans with friends, with people that you enjoy being around, your family, so that you can get that social interaction. The mental self care, it's important that you set a routine with this. If not, you're just going to go through the day-to-day life and life gets busy. We get caught up. So having a set routine, schedule a time for online classes, something that you want to learn, or a lot of the self-care practices. Like, I'm really good at doing my gua sha at night, and my routine is after I do my skincare and I shower, I lay down and I do it from my bed. And that has just been something that I look forward to. This is the part where we're just taking care of our mentals. We're kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Just like de-stressing, but like getting everything out of our minds and just being in the present moment. So taking breaths during the day. We're going to go over some breathing techniques here. That's going to be one of our lessons. Taking time to go offline and to do things that are not related to your classes, your work, school, anything like that. Practicing mindfulness, this is that meditation, this is doing your sound healing, this is doing your prayers, your worship, like anything that is mentally relaxing. I love to listen to like specific music. My handpan music has just been like my sanctuary music that stimulates your creativity too. Anything that just helps you to be more creative. And it doesn't mean singing, dancing, nothing like that, but just something that sparks up your mind and makes you, like, whether it's organizing something, just being creative in that way. It also means being patient and kind with yourselves. And I included this because so many times we're taking care of other people and we're giving great advice and we're cheering other people on, but we tend to be hard on ourselves. Guys, a lot of the things that we have to work on ourselves, it is like a never ending thing that we have to be continuously working on. I think a lot of people think like, oh, you're just supposed to arrive at this self-care place, but it's not like that. We're constantly evolving and becoming better, and you're going to fall back to your natural patterns, but then it's just about having that awareness and just being better. And I feel really passionate about that because I know for myself, like especially like my personality type, kind of like that ADD, go with the flow. And sometimes I could get down on myself because I may not be as productive, or I may not be, just whatever. Like I'm just not as consistent with things as I want to be. And it's easy to get down on myself, but I try to just be patient. I know that sometimes it's my brain or sometimes it's my personality type, and that's okay. So just be kind to yourself. This is why the learning like your human design, I talked a little bit about this recently on my Instagram, like learning your personality type so that you can have grace with yourself and know like, okay, for me, I'm not supposed to be this go, go, go person. My nature is kind of just a different approach to life. And that's kind of what I discovered with mine. So it's super fascinating, but it helps me to be more patient and kind with myself, to not talk bad about myself, not look in the mirror and pick my body apart, all these wrinkles, but just truly speak kindly to myself and not allow myself to say things like you're fat, you're ugly, like, oh, you're such a failure. Look, you're always messing up. Like none of those things. Like don't even entertain that kind of talking, that kind of language. Self-care is something that we enjoy doing. So it shouldn't be something that feels forced. You shouldn't dread your self-care. It shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I have to go do my gua sha, or like, oh, my skincare routine. Like, no, it should be something that you look forward to. So if you haven't, come up with a routine that feels good to you, if you haven't come up with a routine that you stick to, it's probably because you haven't found those things that really feel good to you that you look forward to doing. Self-care practices can look different for everyone. Like some people, it's, praying and going outside and being active, while other people just want to do something like, I love laying in my hammock and being more passive and like thinking and being outside. So for everybody, it's different. Never compare your self-care practices to someone else. I remember I used to write my gratitudes because, Instagram told me that's what you do with your morning routine. You write all your gratitudes. But that felt kind of forced to me. I'm like, oh, every day I was like writing the same thing. But what feels more authentic to me is in prayer. I thank God for my life. And something about just having that connection where I'm praying, I'm saying it out loud, like it just does something more for me. And so I stopped writing it down and I just say my gratitudes in my prayers. And so again, don't compare your self-care practices to someone else's. It's all going to be different for us. That emotional self-care is something that I think as women, we tend to also put on the back burner, ladies. And so it's so important that we prioritize, acknowledge your feelings, and know that they are valid, even if it's period feelings, because those period emotions, oh my gosh, they can make us think and do some crazy things. We start crying over the silliest things. A lot of times, like now I just know, like if I'm crying over something, I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to get my period. Or 2 days later, I see, oh, I got my period. I knew it because I was just overly emotional. Those feelings are still valid, but just be aware that it is heightened emotion. And so I wouldn't, that's the time to tell your spouse, don't take me too serious. That's the time to not take yourself too serious, because
it could really make you feel like you're at the end of like just hopeless or whatever, when it's really just those heightened emotions from your hormones. So that's why balancing our hormones is so important. But practicing gratitude every day, like I said, in your prayers for you, if you want to write it down or express it, constantly telling your kids, your husband, like how you feel about them. Think of the last three things that you're grateful for and just say them out loud or write them down every day. The physical self-care, a lot of us are really good with this. You may be really good at going to the gym, working out, but sleep, are you prioritizing your sleep, making sure that you get from 7 to 8 hours? I know this is something that I need to work on. I'm really good at being asleep, like falling asleep, and I don't have any issues sleeping, but I do have issues like getting to bed early and getting those 8 hours in. It is such a struggle sometimes. Eating well, I'm big on getting your protein in, ladies. Start your morning off with protein, minimum 20 grams of protein. It is going to change your life. Protein is something that has, I think before it would be quick to just grab a carb like a toast or a bagel, and then you're starving 20 minutes later. And so it's so important to get that protein in, nourish your body with healthy foods, keep yourself hydrated, exercising regularly. This is something that we all know, but some of us are not prioritizing. But when you think of working out as self-care and you're doing this for longevity and for your health, not really for weight loss, that's what helps me to prioritize that as well. And hydrating, it's not enough to just drink water. You need your electrolytes. I talk a lot about this on my Instagram. My electrolytes support your mood. It helps you with energy without crashing. You get your potassium, your magnesium, and it's just really good for the body, for the soul, and for not having that caffeine crash with like an energy drink or something like that. Social self-care, I have a picture here of my bestie. We really try to prioritize like getting together, and it's so important, guys. Even if you have a best friend far away, FaceTime with her, a few times a month, or just like make sure and get on the phone where you girls can catch up with each other. Any friends, joining groups. There's an app called Meetup where there's actual events. Sometimes it's hard, like you might meet someone online, but then coordinating schedules to do something doesn't happen. But I love the Meetup app because there's actual events that are taking place, or even in Facebook groups, you can find different groups that are doing things like Tuesday night at 7, we're all going to Barnes and Nobles. And then you just show up and there's no coordinating. Those that can make it go and those that can't don't. So reaching out to someone every day, call, message a family member. I love that. Just check in. I couldn't find a recent picture of my family, so this is like an older one. But just think about these self-care practices, just bringing out the best in you so that you can be the best version of yourself to take better care of your kids, your husband. Like nothing frustrates me more when I didn't prioritize my movement, my working out, but then I have to like pick up the kids, take them to soccer, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to have time for myself, and it really does make me irritable. Also with your spouse, if you're not taking care of yourself and doing things, you can resent them. So it's so important to take care of yourself so that you can be a great wife, because you're taking care of yourself so that you can show up for them and like not take out things on them, because it's not their fault. Like if you take care of yourself, you'll be more patient, more loving, because you're not depending on them to make you happy. I do have some free resources. If you're like, okay, I want to take better care, but you kind of like need ideas, I have a self-care handbook, which I'll leave a link below so that you can download that for free. It'll just give you tons of ideas and also things to think about, like taking care of yourself on a holistic level, like balancing your hormones and stuff like that. So it's in the book. Definitely download that. There's a little tracker where you can like print out and keep track of like what you're doing, your journaling, whatever. It just makes it fun and knows that and so that you can be on top of these things. So anyways, I hope you found this helpful, girls. Share down below if you haven't, what are your self-care practices, or what area do you need to work on? The physical, the mental, the what were some of the other ones? I'm like trying to think now, like the physical, the mental, the social, what are some of those, the emotional, which ones do you need to better work on? And we're going to do that here together. I can't wait to share more with you. But for now, just drop below what your current self-care practices are and what areas you need to improve on. And then let's all support each other in the comments. Bye, guys.